Hey guys, welcome back to my chaotic kitchen, or kitchen chaos as it would be. So tonight we're going to make something in the crock pot because we have a lot of things to do today and it's really easy just to throw some meat and some veg in the crock pot and let it go. So yesterday I actually picked up a 3-pound roast at the store that was on sale, and I'm going to mix that. I'm going to make that with a couple of different recipes that I have in my arsenal. So I kind of make it different every time. So we'll see what happens when I start actually putting everything together. You just never know. But come along and watch and we'll see what happens. All I know for sure is that beef is what's for dinner. Okay, so this is our cast of characters for the crock pot roast that we're going to do. I have a 3-pound bottom round roast that I cut up into chunks, and I left the fat cap on because that is flavor. I'll pull that off before I shred the meat in the crock pot. I've also seasoned it with some salt, pepper, and Italian seasoning. Over here we have a little bit of onion, red and green peppers that I had, and some garlic. And then also we have some mild pepper rings that we're going to be adding with some of the juice. So this is just a combination of recipes, like I said before. So the first thing I'm going to do is add the onions, peppers, and garlic to the crock pot, which I have actually sprayed with a little bit of coconut oil just to help keep things from sticking. All right, so I'm going to put our veg in first. This is about a half of a small yellow onion. And then, like I said, just a little bit of peppers that I had left in the fridge. And then we'll put the garlic in. And then our already seasoned meat. Now, I did not brown this because it's early in the morning and I just don't really feel like doing that. So you can, if you'd like to, feel free. Otherwise, I'm just going to put this in. This is going to actually cook on low for about 9 to 10 hours. So we're just going to pile that up in here. And I'm using the smaller crock pot because you don't want to have a whole lot of room left in the crock pot because otherwise it will not cook properly. I don't know, this is something I read. And then I'm going to add some of the juice to give it that little bit of a vinegar kick. And then we're just going to take our fork and we're going to throw a bunch of these bad boys in here. And all of this will cook down, and then when we shred it, all the vegetables will get shredded up into the meat, and it is delicious. Alright, and just for giggles, I'm going to throw a little bit more in. Alright, there you have it. So we're just going to put that, like I said, on low and just let it go all day, and I'll show you what it looks like when we're done. Alright guys, so we have our roast done. I have shredded it up. Now you can see I did not put any liquid in with the roast, but it created a lot of its own. So about an hour before I turned the heat off, I actually took it off, I shredded it, and so that I can let it sit in its own juices. I cooked it for about another hour, still on low. I also added a little bit more salt to it because it had really soaked up what was already on it. And I also removed those pieces of fat. I saved those. They're in the freezer. I'll use them whenever I make some beef broth, and it will give some delicious flavor. So we have that all shredded. So what we're actually going to do tonight is we're going to be making this into 2 meals. Tonight we're going to actually do stuffed peppers. So if your idea of stuffed peppers was just ground beef and rice with a tomato sauce, well, come again, because we have something else going on for you today. I like to stuff pretty much anything in a pepper. It's a great vehicle, and it's very low carb. So we're going to spray our foil-lined baking sheet, just a little bit of coconut spray, and I have the oven preheating to 400. So I'm actually going to pre-bake these for about 15 minutes, and then I will stuff them with some cheese and our beef mixture. I don't want the beef to actually cook that long because, of course, it's already cooked. But I want the peppers to be about halfway. I don't like them too soft. I like them to have a little bit of bite. Now, I cut my peppers a little bit differently than other people. They like to have them standing up and just cut the top out. I prefer to do it this way because I can't eat a whole pepper, and neither can George. So so I've already cleaned them and cut them off. And we're just going to lay them out on our baking sheet. Oh, and actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn them upside down. And what this does, they will collect liquid inside when they cook, so this will drain out onto the foil, and then when I pull them out of the oven, I will turn them over, I'll season them, then we'll fill them with our meat and cheese mixture. All right, so I'm gonna put these in, like I said, for about 15 minutes. When I pull them out, I'll show you how I stuff them. All right, guys, so the timer just went off, and we're pulling the peppers out. So they're looking fabulous, really hot, so don't burn yourself. So I'm just going to use the fork that I had used for my beef. I'm going to flip these over, and they look really good. So none of that liquid stayed in there, so that is just really helpful so that it doesn't sog out my peppers. All right, so now these are going to be overfilled because they're not huge peppers, and that's fine. Again, this is just kind of a vehicle to put our beef in instead of on bread or on potatoes. So I'm just going to put a little bit of the sazon that I like to use because I want to season the inside of the pepper. And I'm also going to use a little bit of shredded cheese. We're going to put that in the bottom of the pepper, and then we are going to be topping them with some provolone. Now normally I would put the provolone in the top and the bottom, but I don't have that much. I had like 4 pieces in the freezer. This was not what I intended to make for dinner, but this is what happens a lot. It just kind of happened with what I had in the fridge and the idea that came into my head. So all right, so this was just a little bit of sharp cheddar that I had in the freezer. All right, so now we're going to go in. Again, try not to burn yourself. We're going to try to drain a little bit of that juice off of our meat, but we're just going to go in and we're going to stuff them. So they're going to be a little bit juicy. I mean, you can't help that, but like I said, that's kind of why we wanted to get some of that water out of the peppers so they wouldn't be too bad. Now I have tasted the meat. It is delicious. Like I said, I believe I told you once I shredded it, I had to add a little bit more seasoning to it, a little bit more salt. The other thing I did, I actually put about a teaspoon of horseradish into it. I just felt like it needed a little kick, and that came out really nice. So I'm happy with that, and I'll try to remember to do that the next time. I probably won't though, but that's why I have these videos, to help remind me when I made something that I really liked. And you just fill them as full as you want. I'm trying to do the boys a little bit fuller. For George and I won't fill them up quite so much because, again, we can't eat the same as they can. We'd like to, but we can't. Now, the other thing you can do with this, if you have a carb-loving family and you're doing low carb, you don't want to eat the bread, you don't want to eat the pasta or the potatoes, but you don't want to make a separate meal for you and your family. I think that's ridiculous. I do sometimes, very rarely though, I try to make it so it's family friendly. So in this instance, you could do yours like in a bowl with some cheese. George and I have done that before. You can fill a pepper with it. You could do some zucchini. You know, your family can have it on bread or over maybe some mashed potatoes if they really want. But you can, you know, maneuver around the obstacles of having low carb and still feeding your family who wants to have bread and stuff in their life. And like when you have 2 teenage boys, you know, like I said, sometimes I have to compromise with that because I need to fill them up a little bit more. All right, guys, so this is plenty of meat. I had 3 peppers, so this is making 6. Like I said, I filled theirs up a little bit more. And I'm going to have plenty left over for whatever I decide to do with it tomorrow. I don't really have a plan for that. All right, so we are going to put our provolone on here. So, because cheese makes it better. So I have to remember I don't actually have 6 pieces of cheese. I only have 4, so we have to make that go into 6 peppers. We'll make it work. It'll be fine. All right, so that one. See, that's not fair because I got a whole half a piece, so, you know. There. All right, guys. So our peppers are done. I'm just going to pop those back in for probably another 10 minutes, just enough to let the cheese melt and get a little bubbly. And then I will show you what it looks like whenever I'm done. Alright guys, so here is the finished product. We have our stuffed green pepper. It looks beautiful. The cheese bubbled up nicely. And then I also sauteed up some mushrooms. These are just baby bellas or cremini mushrooms. I sauteed them up with some butter, a little bit of salt, pepper, and garlic powder, and that's dinner. Alright, so I hope that you will enjoy this. I hope you'll try it. Again, you can stuff your peppers with anything. So please hit that subscribe button if you're liking these videos. Give me a thumbs up. Be good to each other, and peace out.